Hi, and welcome to Aurora Geothermal's final presentation video. We've had the pleasure of participating in this year's edition of the Geothermal Collegiate competition. We participated in the policy track and focused on understanding the regulatory environment, as well as funding mechanisms and financial incentives for a geothermal district heating and cooling system. My name is Moses Escobar, and I'm working with Jonathan Lesh, Rhea Hansen, and Jackson Blackwell. Jonathan and I are both grad students at Columbia, and Rhea and Jackson are both in the Masters in Public Affairs program at Princeton. Originally, Rhea, Jackson, and I are from the state of Alaska, and so we began our search for a project site on the last frontier. A detailed analysis of several potential project sites, which included conversations with geothermal developers in Alaska, nonprofit tribal consortiums, and researchers at the Alaska Center for Energy and Power, ultimately led us to Elam, Alaska, a native community on the Seward Peninsula in the northwest part of the state. The village's approximately 330 residents are predominantly Inupiat Eskimos, highlighting a deep-rooted indigenous heritage. We chose the site for several reasons. Firstly, Elam has favorable physical conditions for a GDHC system. The town benefits from strong underground heat flow, and the geologic conditions are favorable for borehole arrays. Additionally, the lack of permafrost in the Elam area facilitates the construction of the borehole array and distribution system. Finally, the town's proximity to the ocean is crucial for our system, as we're proposing a hybrid geothermal system that also gets thermal energy from the ocean. We'll share more details about the site design shortly. Additionally, Elam presented an opportunity for significant social impact, as the village is listed as disadvantaged on the USDA's Rural Development Map and the Justice 40 maps. With a median per capita income below $10,000 per year and energy costs, which are the highest in the state and 2.8 times the national average, Elam seemed like a location where a proposed system could make a real difference. Finally, although Elam is tucked away in the corner of the Seward Peninsula, it is less than 100 miles from Nome, a regional hub. Nome is expected to receive significant amounts of traffic in the coming years, as the city is planning the construction of the Nome Deepwater Port, as well as several mining projects in the area. As these firms develop a familiarity with working in the Seward Peninsula, a project in Elam may not sound quite as foreign, and we can bring in many of the same construction and engineering firms to help out with the development of the system. Before moving on to the rest of the presentation, we thought it would be helpful to describe our proposed project site. The system was developed in partnership with our competition-assigned mentor, Nicholas Fry, who is a geothermal district energy consultant at Jacobs and a doctoral student in energy and environmental engineering at the University of Calgary. We are proposing a closed-loop system that benefits from Elam's location on the shore of Norton Bay. The system includes a heat exchanger placed in the ocean, an onshore borehole array which charges over the summer and depletes in the winter, a central energy plant that pumps the heated fluid across town, and the necessary circulation infrastructure. Combining the ocean heat exchanger with a borehole array to gain additional geothermal energy and service thermal storage is an exciting opportunity for the village of Elam to heat their buildings year-round with renewable geothermal energy. There are similar project designs in Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, which makes us confident that the technology would be effective in Elam. I hand off now to Jackson to discuss our progress on stakeholder engagement.
Thanks, Moses. Over the past several months, we engaged dozens of stakeholders at the local, regional, state, and federal levels. As a rural village on the Norton Sound, we fostered a relationship with the local community partners early. Specifically, we worked with the Native Village of Elam and Elam Native Corporation to ensure the proposal was in line with community and regional goals. As the sole surface and subsurface mineral rights owner, Elam Native Corporation is an important partner as they have the authority to approve our development. Reviewing economic development plans revealed that high energy costs are a significant concern for community members and may hinder future economic growth. Our proposal would have the dual benefit of reducing reliance on stove oil while also reducing community energy costs. Moreover, if successful, our project could provide a blueprint for geothermal development for other rural, indigenous, and remote communities across the state and country. Aurora Geothermal was lucky to receive the mentorship and guidance from many subject and development experts as we navigated this process. The Bering Straits Native Corporation, though not a holder of land rights, helped us initially in connecting us with community leaders and offering guidance based on lessons learned in other regional communities. Kawarik, a nonprofit tribal consortium serving the region, also proved to be instrumental in connecting us with leaders in Elam. Across the state, the University of Alaska's Center for Energy and Power provided feedback as their executive director had authored a study on Elam's geothermal capacity and was helpful in connecting us with additional community members in Elam. Entities like the Alaska Native Tribal Health Consortium and Renewable Energy Alaska Project provided valuable feedback as we navigated community capacity constraints for educational and development purposes, while GeoAlaska shared best practices for navigating rural energy development and permitting. Our team's foremost priority was ensuring local and regional engagement from project inception to draft development. From conversations with community leaders, it was clear that the project has support, though it can't adversely impact energy costs. As we look forward to further stakeholder engagement, we were proud to receive a letter of support from the Native Village of Elam and an offer to host our in-person event in 2024. Now, over to Rio.
Thanks, Jackson. To understand the regulatory environment of Elam, we spoke to a wide array of parties at the state, federal, and local levels, as well as multiple private small-scale geothermal development companies. Our research showed that we essentially only need agreements from the Native Village of Elam and the Elam Native Corporation to engage in project development. The regulatory environment that Elam has is incredibly unique because it did not participate in the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act of 1971. This means it is not subject to the same regionally based regulatory environment as all other Native-owned land in Alaska. Additionally, while Elam is a federally recognized tribe, its land is not technically an Indian reservation because the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act and subsequent court cases eliminated all Indian reservations in Alaska except for one in the Southeast region. Thus, Elam Native Corporation alone has surface and subsurface rights to the land, and the regulatory environment of Elam is sparse. The primary decision makers and land use approvers in the village are the Native Village of Elam leadership and the Elam Native Corporation. This presents a unique opportunity to expedite the development of a GDHC system in Elam. Consideration of the regulatory process for GDHC development in Elam can be divided into 5 stages: land use planning, access, development, operation, and decommissioning. Required for developing a GDHC system in Elam are, first, a land use plan that includes geothermal development, which we've established Elam has. Second, written land access approval from the Elam Native Corporation and the Native Village of Elam. And third, surface and subsurface use agreements from the Elam Native Corporation and the Native Village of Elam. Thus far, we have received a letter of support from the Native Village of Elam and the Alaska Energy Authority, an entity involved in rural energy development in Alaska. Elam Native Corporation has also expressed a verbal interest in our project. There is no permitting required from the state of Alaska, the Bureau of Indian Affairs, or the National Environmental Protection Act. Additionally, we strongly recommend the development of the following analyses: cultural impact analysis with input from the local population, an economic impact analysis including a workforce development plan, an environmental impact analysis, and a plan for decommissioning. These additional recommendations are born out of feedback from the village about other energy projects in the region. Elam has emphasized its commitment to uplifting the voices of its youth and elders in community decision-making, its prioritization of environmental stewardship, and its hope to keep jobs local and new infrastructure development within the maintenance capabilities of its local population. Lastly, Elam has old energy infrastructure that has not yet been properly cleaned up, and underscored that it wants to ensure this will not happen with geothermal infrastructure. Early development of a decommissioning plan can help provide insurance to this end. Respect for the goals and objectives of the Native Village of Elam are paramount in navigating this regulatory process. From here, I'll pass it to Jonathan to discuss the economic analysis of this project.
Thanks, Ria. Finally, we considered the economic viability of the project, and we're excited to see that the system pays back in 14 years compared to the current energy mix. We consulted with our GCC assigned mentor, as well as federal and Alaska state officials with experience building geothermal systems in Alaska. We began by examining Elam's existing thermal energy mix. According to village leaders who we spoke to, Elam residents use a mix of fuel oil, local spruce wood, and electricity to stay warm. These resources can be expensive and are likely to become more expensive as time goes on. On the other hand, our GDHC system includes a large upfront cost, but much lower operating costs over time. For pre-construction and construction of the system, we estimated about $7 million of CapEx to drill boreholes, build the central energy plant, install distribution infrastructure, and other critical components. Fortunately, this system would be eligible to receive new investment tax credits available for renewable energy systems at a rate up to 50% of invested capital. Therefore, the net CapEx would only be about $3.5 million after accounting for the tax benefits. Electricity to power the central energy plant will make up the majority of the operating expenditures, but these costs will remain relatively flat compared to the costs of the current thermal energy resources. As a result, this GGHC system pays back in 14 years, saving millions of gallons of fuel oil and 77 million pounds of spruce wood over its lifetime. Even in scenarios with higher capex and with lower than expected investment tax credits, this payback period only increases by a handful of years. To fund this project, we've identified a number of grant programs from the USDA, EPA, and State of Alaska that are particularly relevant to geothermal systems and can provide the majority of required capital. The remaining capital would need to be provided by a reliable sponsor, such as a joint venture between the existing utility and the native corporation. The local utility has engaged in such joint ventures in the past, and considering ENC's support of our project, we are confident that this partnership could come to fruition.
Thanks, Jonathan, and thank you for taking the time to listen to our presentation. We've really enjoyed working on this project over the last few months and have learned a lot about geothermal development, working in rural communities, and engaging with key policy and financing partners. We've been fortunate to have received the strong support of several key stakeholders, including leadership of Native Village of Elam, the Elam Native Corporation, and the Alaska Energy Authority. This backing has us excited about the potential for this project and the opportunity that this project presents in terms of setting a precedent for renewable energy projects in rural communities across the state. We hope you've enjoyed listening to the summary of our progress and look forward to continuing to work on this project in the spring with our community partners. Thank you.